Yreka, Phillip Albers, na Karuk Ara, Yreka niaram sheep vritti. I said, hello, my name is Phil Albers. I'm a Karuk Indian, and I come from the village of Yreka. Today I'll be telling some stories, Arar Pikwa, which is Indian stories. And the story that I'm going to start with today is the story of Tanoak Acorn, Khuntapan. And the story that I have here came from this book. It is called The Karuk Language by William Bright. And it's a documentary that he did in the early 1950s, the late 1940s and early 1950s, in which he documented the language, the Karuk language, with different elders from mainly the Somesbar and Orleans area. But he also included a dictionary. And we've been working very closely with the language program and with Bill Bright on developing a new dictionary and adding new words and things. So today I'm going to read a story, Arar Pikwa, that means Indian story, and I'm going to read the story in the language first, in the Karuk language, Arahi, and then I will read the English translation. So, with these traditional stories that have been passed down orally years and years and years, for the first time in the late 1940s and early 1950s, they were documented on paper. Specifically through this book, The Karuk Language by William Bright. So when I read this story, it is a traditional story, and just because it's written down, it's not modified or changed. This is how it was told and how it was recorded. So from this story now, I ask you to listen very carefully and respectfully and try to see what you can learn or what you can recognize from the story and how it'll apply to you personally. Jump. Yas ara u inishrihesh. Kura kun wikwuna. Yistuk chikun yimesh. Karechas kun pip chimichemiach nutak kukwuna. Karechas kun pip chimichuarab. Karechas kun pitchuna sipren. Pamukun abkhan. Kore yamachas pamukun abkhan. Karechas pachuntapan mura pupikyara ara pamubkhan. Karechas upkefinmet. Karechas upitchunasip. Karechas upip payas ara unishrihak. Wuri na pa awanihich tapesesh. Pahutwa koyas ara inahak. Wurina wara kech kana amtihesh, karuma abkhan kemich panani abkhan. Wuri khuntapan wa upanik. Mankind was about to come into existence. They were all weaving, and they were about to go to a different place. And they said, let's clean our baskets quickly. And then they said, all right, let's go. And they put on their basket caps. All their caps were pretty caps. But Tanoak Acorn didn't finish her cap. So she turned it inside out, and she put it on. And she said, when mankind comes into existence, I will be the most important, the highest of them all. However long mankind exists, they will eat only me. Though the fact is, my cap is a poor cap. Tanoak Acorn said that. Taco. That's all.
Anytime.
Yreka. Bikets. No, Jupi. I'm going to tell another story. And this story is the story of Eith. Again, I will use the same form while I'll read the story in the Karuk and then again in the English. So. Kora pa ke mishes tunaweches kun pip. Khateki chachnu erareti. Karechas kora kuma avaha yichacha kunikiab. Karechas yichach kunstarish riwa. Karechas kun pip akayum pachus eti shan. Karechas upip nanekhus ni etihesh. Ta'itam kowara pakemeshes tunaweches kunikia vichwuna. Yukun wakan kun pavimesh patu pishyawa. Puyawa wara tatay takunikiav. Karechas tu pishyare yare. Karechas tu pishyapa. Karechas paku kun pavima achmai wara fatwa kunistiv. Karechas upip rah rah. Karechas kun irurumwa. Karechas kun pip fatkok fatkok. Puyawa ichamahich ku kun chunwawati yakun takun ai fatkok fatkok. Chawara kun apunma. Hinupa uhuti tatay kidini pachej ni av. Wakumai paathwa ukia wunweti. Karechas kuneper mimyahiti hutwako mimyahiti wara im fatak asa suruk wakan ifchikinik. Karechas kunper mimyahiti hutwako mimyahiti wara im fatak asa suruk wakan ifchikin kutihesh perfat wara karu kupitiheshara. All the little wild animals said, "Let's store our food together." So they gathered all kinds of food and they put it all down together. And they said, "Who will take care of it?" And Slug said, "I'll take care of it." So all the wild animals worked. You see, they were gathering. They were going to come back there when it was winter. So there was a lot they gathered. Then it was winter time. And when they came back there, suddenly they heard something. It made a roaring noise. And they fled. And they said, "What is it? What is it?" Then they sneaked up to it one by one. You see, they were afraid. And they wondered, "What is it? What is it?" Finally, they found out it was Slug. And there he thought, "There's a lot. Let me eat it all by myself." That's why he scared them. And they told him, "In your life, in your whole life, you will be sticking to the bottom of a rock. And you won't be doing anything either." So, Tako, Ayuki. Well, this story I'm going to tell is also a fun story. This story helps explain why, during a thunderstorm, when you're outside or when it's starting to rain and you're looking out the window and you see the lightning crashing and the thunder, this story is to help talk about why lightning strikes down at trees, why the lightning hits the trees. So I'll tell you the story in the Karuk, and then I'll talk a little bit about the background for the story and explain some of the points of the story, and then I'll tell you about the story in English. So, Chimikunim Thatwun why lightning strikes trees. Chimikunim Thatwun wish. Chaskuneper Puya if yamach pepan with thee. Fatkok pepan with the im. Karichasto peep. Man warana wakarichas tanijos. Chimikan apinwan panepanwish. Puyawa epaha tanishchachar. Wuriwakan tanima panepanwati. Karechas ifurth pakun pim thatwuna. Karechas kukum Warawa Chikun im Thatun wan wish. Puyawa kun penti. Hoi im mahiti pe panwati. Khas kun khus nakarawati nukupi. Pa ipa kunikfukira. Profatwa paach. Karuma paara topar. Khas pamuach topupshor. Wiriwa pupanwati paara ach. Khas ara wan yu sitanach uchus. Khaifar wani pip to pip ipahakech panani mahid paach. Puyawa paem patos nur paipaha tukfukirira tos khachar. So that was a difficult story, but the story here talks about why lightning strikes trees. And it comes down because in our traditional culture we had a game. We call it the stick game. But they used to call it Thatwuna. Well, something kind of like that. So we had the stick game in which there are two teams of men and they have sticks. It looks somewhat like lacrosse. It's kind of a mix between lacrosse and hockey, but it's a very physical game. And we have these sticks that come out, and they're usually, based on as long as how long your arm is, or from your hand to the ground. And the sticks are usually about this long. They could be this long, and they're straight, round, and they have a little tiny hook at the end. And it's not a sharp hook, not like a fish hook. It's just a simple little bend, so you have a little angle. And that's the stick they use. Now the tossel that we have is two pieces of wood tied together with some sinew or some leather, and that's kind of like the ball or the puck. And the object of the game is to hook with that stick and throw it into the goal. Well, usually there are three people on a team. There's the center man or the face-off man. There's an anchor, defends the goal, and then there's a runner or a scorer, a forward, whatever you want to call it. And so they each have their own jobs, and you have a team, and you can develop strategies, and they have them. But a twist on this game is it's a very physical game. It's very rough. You can tackle, you can throw down, you can push, you can run. One of the more brutal aspects of it is you can use your stick to do several things. One is you can tackle your opponent, and you can grab your stick and you can rub them with it. That could be anywhere. You could rub it right here. It's a really tender spot, and you'll bruise. And really, the part of the point of it is to teach you not to play or not to get around, not to come onto my zone, not to try to stop me from scoring. So you can rub here. You can rub here on the ribs. You can rub on the shin, on the backbone, on the back of the neck. And part of the rules are you can't touch the stick. If somebody goes to rub you and they hook you, they got you, and they start to rub you, you cannot grab their stick. You can only touch their hands, or you can try to get away on your own. So it's a very physical game, and there's a lot of intimidation involved. So now I'm going to read the English, and maybe it'll make a little more sense and you'll be able to follow along. So they were going to play stick game, and they said to Horsefly, "Ma, your face is painted very pretty. What did you paint it with?" And he said, "Why, I thought I would go look for something to paint my face, so I ripped open a tree. There I found what I am painting it with." And afterward they played stick games again. Again they were going to play stick games, so they said to him, "How do you find what you paint your face with?" And they thought, "Let us do that too." They grabbed the trees and there was no blood in them. The fact was, Horsefly had bit human beings and taken out a mouthful of their blood. Human blood is what he painted his face with. And Horsefly thought, "Let me not say it," he said. "I find the blood only in trees." That's what he told them. So now when it thunders, lightning grabs the trees and rips them open. And they're looking for paint to paint their face to prepare for the sticking. So Horsefly was a little tricky there, and he didn't want to share his secrets. It's a pretty good thing he didn't, because then lightning would grab people and rip them open and get the blood out so they could paint their face. So Horsefly did us a little favor, and maybe you can remember that next time the horsefly goes to bite you. He's just getting some paint. It's because he's about to play a stick game. Tako. Yreka Community. I'm going to tell another story, and this is one of my personal favorites. It is called Old Man Turtle Dances, and it's a great story. And again, try to listen to the story and try to find out how it applies to you and what you can learn from it, because it really is a great story, and it has a lot of important tips or meanings about life that you can really apply to yourself. So I'm going to start the story now. Kayuras takuni chacha. Ayuach papasamnu pahitihan chikun ihrupawish. Khas payan iftihansa takuni vyima karupa asiktawansas. Widi takari pachikun ihru Widi takari pachikun ihrupawish. Khas asahu pinich tothwonha. Widi kuneper hoy if yachek I umesh ayuachpa asiktawan umyan iftihansa. Asahu pinich would a tothwona. Now would a ko yapa akaiwa kumayan iftihan. Panpai would a takun chimiha. Taitam takun kariha. Asahu pinich achip to yarihish. U akropriti pa asiktawan. Khas takun ihwarak. Panpai wari asahu pinich tokfuishur. Wari u arihishri wati. Mate ki yish apun. Wari wakun iti. Panpai wara tokhrareti. Mate ki yish apun. Tanek fuishur. Wari wakun iti. Panpai wara takun ithyuriti. Kanek ukhrarawati. Wari wa achip takun ihwarak. Pamutrach warkech takun apuhti. Wawarakan asahu pinich upkewish asanam karak. Paasiktawan warawa kun ihrupati. Kun apati asahu pinich mutrach. Khas payurasa kun ikakuri. Kariwa warakun aputi pamutrach. So this story is a great story, and it includes several different places. It includes Klamath Lakes and a village called I just read it. Asanam Karak. And it talks about the old man turtle and some of the women and some of the dances that we do. So it's a really good story, and Old Man Turtle he feels like he's really good and he's strong and he's young again and he can do what he needs to do to help take part in this dance. Even though the people tell him not to and that maybe he can't do it because he's not strong enough anymore, he decides to do it anyway. So here's the story. And this is going to be a little bit different than the translation I just read. It's going to be just a little bit more based on my storytelling and not so much on the direct translation from the Karuk. So, they gathered at Klamath Lakes. That's up towards Klamath Falls. It was because they were going to dance downriver, that way the stream flows. So they were going to all dance downriver and do that from Klamath Lakes all the way down. And the young men and women arrived. It was time for them to dance down, and the old man turtle wanted to dance. They told him, "You can't get there. It's because the women are too young." So they said, "No, old man turtle, you can't dance. It's too far to go, and the women are young, and the women are very, very strong. The young women in our tribe are very, very strong." So, but old man turtle, he just really wanted to dance. He didn't want to take no for an answer. And he said, "I'm as good as any young man." So finally they agreed. So they were all ready to dance and just getting started. Old man turtle stood in the middle. He locked arms with the women. Then they danced down from upriver, from Klamath Lakes. Finally, old man turtle got tired. All that dancing, and he finally just, he started to get a little bit tired. And then he was singing, "Mateki Yishapun." But they kept dancing that way. They kept on dancing and going downriver and doing their job. And finally he was crying and weeping and sobbing, and he just kept singing, "Mateki Yishapun. I'm tired, I'm tired." But they kept dancing. Finally they were dragging him. They were just dragging him along down the river, and he couldn't dance, and he couldn't even walk anymore, and he just kept crying and singing, "Mateki Yishapun." Then after a little while longer, finally he got so tired he couldn't even cry the whole time. Every now and then he would just give out a little cry. They danced down from upriver that way to the middle of where they were going, right to where they needed to go. And pretty soon they were dancing and dancing, and they were just into the dance, doing what they needed to do, and they looked over and they looked in the middle to look for old man turtle, and all they were carrying was just his arms. Old man turtle was transformed there at Asanam Karak. The women kept dancing downriver because that's what they had to do, and they were only carrying old man turtle's arms. And when they jumped into the ocean, they were still carrying his arms all the way down to the ocean. So old man turtle there was transformed at Asanam Karak. And that's what happened to old man turtle when he wanted to dance with those young women, and he wasn't strong enough to do it. So they just danced with his arms all the way down into the river. Tako. So, if you can think back to the story, Why Lightning Strikes Trees, and you remember they were playing a stick game, this is an example of what one of the sticks may look like. Now this is a practice one that I made just to kind of play around with and have some fun with, but this is basically the stick that they used. They also had a tassel that was a lot thicker around than this, and there were two pieces tied together, and that's what would hook here on the end of the stick. And that's how you would play the game. You'd throw that and try to throw it into goals. Some of the fields that were played on traditionally were measured to be somewhere around 150 yards long and 80 to 100 yards wide. And that's still considering there were only 3 people on a team. So they were huge fields and an incredible amount of endurance because you're wrestling and trying to run all over the place and fight with other teams, and you play usually till 11. So it's a pretty intense game, and this is what the stick looks like. So now we can move on to our next story, which is one of my personal favorites, and it's one of my favorites to tell. So with this story, I will tell the story in Arahi, and then I will translate that story into English, and then I will tell my own experienced version of that story. To help you understand a little bit about the story, I brought in some things that we can look at, and the first of which being this basket. Now, this is a miniature or an example of an eel basket, an eel trap. And what this is made of is willow sticks all the way around, no root, and sometimes for a larger basket they would use hazel stick. So the way the trap works is it is not peeled as some of the other basket materials are, but you put it down into the water and you stick it on the bottom on the rocks, and the brown or the colored sticks blend in with the dirt. So the eels will come in and they'll get caught into this little funnel, and they'll come in, and then right through here is where they come out. And when they come out into the basket, they can't get out. They can't get back into that little hole. So this specific one has an example of you can just remove this and pour the eels out, and they'll just come right out. But traditionally, the baskets were made so big that any of the fishermen or trappers would stick their hand in and grab the eel and pull it right out without having to worry about unlatching or unhooking it. Also, some of them had a door. They would actually cut a door in here where that was tied, and when they needed to, they'd undo the door and pull them out. So this basket was made by my wife, Yreka Supahan, and we were taught how to make these by Brian Colgrove. So it was a lot of fun, and I made my basket, but this one's a lot better, so brought in this one. And so this is what we would use to trap the eels. So you may be thinking, why would we trap eels? Why would we need to trap eels? Well, we trap eels to eat them, and they're really good eating. But part of the reason is going to be revealed in the story. But so I'll let that part go for a little bit. Now, in this story, it's based around gambling. And traditionally, we didn't have casinos. So it's not talking about gambling and going to the poker table and playing. We had our own traditional game involving a drum and some sticks and multiple players, and a whole different atmosphere about gambling. It wasn't a go gamble all your money and try to get rich. It was a go gamble as a part of a celebration or part of a way to gain what you would need to provide for your family or to prepare for different things. Some of the things that were betted were very, very expensive in traditional terms as far as what they were made of or how long it took to make them or how well they were made. So what we had here to gamble with were these right here. Amtike. These are gambling sticks, or also referred to as our Indian cards. And what this right here is the ace. If you can see, it's burned here right in the middle, or marked. Not necessarily burned, but marked. This specific deck is burned because they're mine, but everybody makes their own. Now the idea of the game is to have the cards and set them down, put them behind your back or to the side or away from your opponent who is sitting directly across from you, and divide the sticks, usually into two hands. And then you can bring them out. And the opponent or the other person, what I'm doing right now is considered the dealer, and the other guy's the guesser. So the guy will guess one hand, and they will slowly toss out the cards until the last one or the last couple and reveal if they guessed the right one. If you guessed this hand, you were wrong. If you guessed this hand, you were right. So if you did not guess the ace and you guessed this hand, I would be awarded a point. If you did guess this hand and you got the ace, then you would be awarded the deal, but not a point. We played this to 11 points, and it's a very intense game also, because if I win 9 points and you win the deal, you win 2 points, our points are not even, you can win points for me to get to that 11. So the game can go back and forth for quite a long time. Now, while the dealer is playing, or while the guesser is playing, we also had a drummer and a singer behind, or supporting the players. So this is an idea of what our drum would look like, a traditional drum for us. Now, I've used a little bit more modern cloth for my drumstick, but serves the same purpose. So our drums would be set up, and usually the drummers would be sitting right behind the dealer, and when it's whoever's side is dealing, that is who is drumming and singing. So you can hear and get the beat, and the whole time while the dealer is playing, the drummer or drummers, maybe there are multiple drummers and singers, are singing and drumming the entire time that they have possession of the cards, either until the game is over or until they lose the deal. So you can just imagine this, and imagine the whole situation, and that's pretty much what was going on for the most part of this story. So with all that being explained, and visually you can see it happening, I'll go ahead and begin the story of Eel and the Suckerfish. And I will say the Karuk first. Akra chamuchit hakan kunitit. Chawara kowara tak kunchifich akra chamuchit in. Kowara tochram. Karechas upi pa akra. Nani ipi tene khram. Karechas wakaru wara uchifich. Wadi wakuma akra pufa mu ipi. Kuna chamuchit umara ipahar. It's a very short story, the one recorded here, and the informant for this story was Mamie Offiel. So the direct translation would be, Eel and Sucker gambled together. Finally, Sucker won everything. He won everything from Eel. Eel had bet everything. And Eel said, I bet my bones. Then he won those two. For that reason, Eel has no bones, but Sucker is bony. So it's a very interesting story, and it's very short, but the version that I tell is not so short, and I will go ahead and tell that version right now. So, Eel and Suckerfish, way back a long time ago, decided to have a gambling game. So they sat down and they began gambling and playing and singing, and Suckerfish was very confident, very good gambler. Eel was also confident and good gambler, so he really thought he had a good chance. So he began to bet a lot of things. And when Suckerfish won them all, Eel said, oh man, I don't have anything else, but you know what, I'm going to bet you all the money I have, not just what I brought. So he bet Sucker all the money that Eel had. So they gambled and gambled and played and were singing, and finally the Suckerfish won it all. And the Eel said, oh no, I lost all the money I have. And he said, well, I still have something I can bet. And he told Suckerfish, now I'm so confident I'm due to win, I haven't won, so it's my turn to win. I'm gonna bet you my house. And the suckerfish said, oh, are you sure you want to bet your house? And eel said, yes, I'm gonna win you this time. I'll bet my house on it. And so suckerfish said, okay, let's play. So they played, and they were singing and gambling, and eel was trying so hard, and he was looking and trying to break through, but suckerfish won again. Suckerfish said, eel, I took all your money and your house. You better go home. And eel said, no, nobody beats me that many times in a row. It's my turn. I know I'm going to win this time. This time I'm so confident. I'm going to bet you. I'll bet you my wife and my kids. That's how much I know I'm going to win. And the suckerfish said, oh, okay, yeah, if you want to bet, I'll play you. So they played and gambled and played, and this game lasted a long time, and they played, and finally, after a long time of playing, the suckerfish won again. He won all of eel's money, eel's house, and eel's wife and kids. The next time, after all that, the eel said, you know what, I never lose that much ever, and I can't believe I lost this much, and you must be lucky, but your luck's about to run out. I will bet you my bones that I will beat you this time. Every bone in my body. And the suckerfish said, oh, okay, that sounds like a good bet. And so suckerfish played, and the eel played, and the eel was trying so hard, and he just kept trying, and he was sure he was going to win, but the suckerfish won again. And so eel lost all of his bones to the suckerfish. And to this day, if you fish, you will see how bony and how hard it is to eat a suckerfish, while if you go to catch an eel, there are no bones in there, and everybody eats the eel. Taco. This is the story of Crane. It's a great story. It's a little funny, but I'll just go ahead and get started. Kuwara kun ara hiti taiwa wanwara. Chikunev yishiprewish. Uknam khanahich kan chikun ihukwunawish. Karikhas Jimmy kikpikiv mathap. Jimmy taitam kun pik iv shiprinahen. Khas Jimmy akhwai nu pikiv mathi. Karikhas taitam kun kiv mathahen. Wara untai pato pipik ivship. Thin akhyar wara. Karikhas akhwai Jimmy. Khas tako takun pik ivship ko wara. Karikhas akhwai ukhyarship. Karikhas Jimmy saruknik u akich nimach pamo ikev. So, that story, like I said, is a story of Crane from Nettie Rubin, and so I'll go ahead and tell the story. Everyone was there, lots of people. They were going to leave for Uknam Khanahich, but they were going to have because they were going to have a flower dance there. And so they put the necklaces on, and they said, all right, let's put the necklaces on Crane. So they put necklaces on Crane. He had lots of necklaces on. His neck was full up to his throat glands, all the way full of necklaces. And Crane said, all right. And that was all. He had on all the necklaces on his neck. Then, all of a sudden, Crane stood up. And his necklaces were just a little dab down at the bottom of his neck. The reason for that is, when they put all the necklaces on Crane and they put all of them on him, and he's full all the way up to his throat glands, when he stood up, he straightened his neck out. And so all the necklaces slid all the way down to the bottom, and his neck was so long that it didn't even look like he had any necklaces on. So that was a little humor in that story. So, Taco. The next story is the snake people. The story is a pretty interesting story, and it's pretty fun to read, and I think you'll enjoy listening to it. So, the informant for this story is Daisy Jones, and it's not a real intense story. It's just a simple little story. So I'll start the story. An safrik avanza upikiri wuti khaspo nupu kan asish akhmakunish payok fat upmahon kon khaswara pukhai kenara yanawa apsun umusti chawara pukhai harahara akhma yini pahu hechkan khas upip nini aka umusti paawanza khas upip tani pitap khas upip puhara khas upip nini tat ok imusaruk pat tema hum pekrivra maruk khasupi puhara yakhat chime pami yop khas ufumpu khasupi tema hum pekrivra khasupi pa khasuper chora maruk chime kun khakan ha maruk khasianawa wartai pekrevram karu wartai pa araras khasuper chimi ok wara ekri takon tapku pa arah in khasupip puyav hara paikuk khafatu mosti upip athith khun tapa num kanwati ara arto wanich wichwa paikuk puyavhara urinata na athwa marukoiwa ni ipaho tana athwa pamukrevran u ipma khasupip nawara maruk ni kriwish na ok tako khafat I kuikar pa apsun pa ok umahak. Okay, that wasn't too bad. So, a man was sweating himself at Wichipek, and when he came out of the sweat house, he lay down there. Suddenly, he sort of felt something right there on his body. Suddenly, he didn't move, and he didn't move at all. He saw it was a snake, and he watched it. Finally, it wasn't long after when suddenly a little girl arrived there, and then she said, "My father." She looked at the man and she said, "Do you know me?" And then he said, "No." And she said, "My mother came to visit you here. Do you see the sweat house uphill?" And he said, "No." "Look, let me fix your eyes." And she blew on them, and he said, "Do you see this?" And she said, "Do you see the sweat house now?" And he said, yes." And she told him, "Let's go uphill." He said, "All right." They went uphill together, and he saw there were a lot of houses and a lot of people. She told him, "Live here." The people liked him. And she said, "That woman over there is no good. Don't look at her." And she said, "We're gathering hazelnuts. That one teases and bites people. She's no good. I'm afraid. I'm going uphill somewhere. I'm afraid." He went back to his house and he said, "I'm going to live uphill. I'm all through here. You mustn't kill the snakes when you see them here." So that's the story, and it's, like I said, it's an interesting story. And when you look at it, the girl the young girl that asked, that is the man's daughter, that's offspring from this contact with the snake. So and then the one said about that snake's mean, it'll bite. And that one was talking about Tapas Apsun, the rattlesnake. So that's the story of the snake people. And like I said, it's just a nice little story. It's not really too much into about the existence of snake people or something along those lines. It's just a nice little story. Tako.